Regarding database development, I have a few guiding principles. First, I am highly focused on both efficiency and simplicity in my relational database design. My tendency is to stray away from doing anything too fancy if I can get away with that, because the simpler and more straightforward the database design, the easier it is to manage and to know exactly what is happening. This is valuable when it comes to quickly and efficiently getting work done, troubleshooting issues, and working to minimize bugs in an application. Second, with full stack development these days, it seems as if many times development is done from the top down, starting with the design of the user's view first, then working down to the database level to facilitate what the application will show to the user. Now, I don't work that way. Since I am a database developer first, I start with the foundation, the database, and I make this as complete as I can see from the outset based on the anticipated needs of the user for the application view. With how complex applications can become today and the sprawl that can happen at the user view level, it seems to me that having clear specifications of what the database provides first facilitates focused routing of the data delivered to the user's view in order to minimize sprawling as much as possible. An outcome is that the user is left with a focused, efficient view of only what they require. By reducing sprawl and working to deliver a straightforward view of all data required, we help to minimize bugs, have good data integrity, and have a clear working view of the application to maneuver it quickly to get work done in a timely manner. Third, I work to make sure that my scripts are up to date and in sync with the live database. With how easy it is today to make changes to a table and procedures through a user interface or whatever tool we are using for our application, for example, I often use Rails, the script for the database and procedures can be neglected. In my experience, while not keeping up with this can save time in the short run, long term it hurts. My primary use case for this is migration. I began doing this work in the 90s. My first migration was to move everything off of a Unix environment from an Ingress database system into a Microsoft SQL Server in a Windows environment. The Information Systems Department was very happy and comfortable in our Ingress Unix environment. However, the company had new executives that had just taken over, and they wanted us to use Microsoft SQL Server. Since that first migration, I have had many other migrations, such as moving data from a MySQL database system in an environment maintained by a third-party provider into a PostgreSQL database system hosted on an Ubuntu operating system that I maintain in a Linux environment. Another example of migrations occurring often is because I use Ubuntu and it releases long-term support versions every 2 years. I do not like to upgrade my Ubuntu versions with my applications in place. Rather, I create a new environment with the new version, then I migrate my existing application in the old environment supported by the old Ubuntu version to the new environment with the new Ubuntu version. When I do not keep my scripts in sync with my live database, these migrations are more difficult than they need to be, and they take more time, which to me is more money. I avoid this difficulty by keeping my scripts clean and in order, and therefore, while I won't go so far as to say that migrations are easy, they are relatively smooth and problem-free. Another thing to note, which is often the case when data must be migrated, many times it must be migrated ASAP due to whatever business case is present at the moment. Migrating something as soon as possible, which oftentimes is yesterday, can be quite stressful and error-prone if we have not been keeping up with our scripts. Now there are options to use third-party tools and services for migration. However, these tools must be learned, can be complicated, take onboarding time, and we may not know exactly what is going on in the background. So when issues arise, they can be difficult to troubleshoot. Having our own migration procedures in place that are maintained with every change in our database makes for a smoother process that saves time in the long run. Finally, keeping my scripts maintained, clean, in good working order, and well documented keeps the logic of my application in my mind, which helps with maintenance in general and efficient working environments and minimizing bugs. And it ensures that I am not developing something too large for me to handle that can quickly get out of hand. My goal is to keep my applications as small as I can because I am serving smaller customer bases. And by keeping it small, I can pass cost savings onto the customer while still providing a quality product that serves the majority of my customers' needs.